Welcome back to another video. I'm trying to get back into the swing of posting more than like one video per month, so today we're back with another episode covering 5 more small mods Bethesda should consider for the Elder Scrolls 6. In the last episode, we covered a light theme of variance to bring a little divergence into our game. Well, this episode I reckoned would go a little stricter on the theme, which is of course immersion. Now, immersion has been a theme that has kind of been thrown around in the modding community since the beginning of time. It can mean anything from new animations to slightly more realistic beard meshes, but that's kind of the point. The term immersion is very vague and can be interpreted differently. After all, the literal definition is a deep mental involvement in something, so whatever allows you to get mentally involved in your game can be classed as immersive, which is also sort of the problem with how it's been used and marketed within Skyrim modding. So to be more clear, the theme of this video is more realism than immersion per se. So with all that rambling behind us, let's jump into our first mod. Now, true armor is not necessarily a small mod, but it's not that wild of an idea for BGS to think about in the next game. What this mod does is essentially increase the depth of combat by implementing different resistance stats for each armor set in the base game, and also ones added by mods. Now, what this means is that some armors will be better at warding off certain attacks than others, like steel plate granting more resistance to maces than something like glass, but glass maybe being more resistant to fire than steel and that sort of thing. Now, the thing that makes this mod so seamless is it doesn't necessarily interfere with the vanilla base idea of armor levels. Ebony will still be much better at protecting you than iron would, but there might be certain advantages to iron armor that could benefit you in very particular circumstances that ebony might not. And also, some armors may slow you down at a cost for the higher protection it offers. If you've ever played Dark Souls, then you'll kind of get what I mean. Each armor set in Dark Souls have their own individual stats for each attack type in the game. So for example, often the clothing items that definitely will not protect you against a sword might be very resistant against magic attacks, and vice versa. After installing this mod, you can manually set every resistance for all types of weapons and attacks. But if you can't be bothered to individually tweak every stat, then you can also load example settings which will set the mod conditions to the mod author's preferred resistances. This mod is mainly included in this list as it would be something really cool to see Bethesda take on board for the next game. Giving more depth to the armor system would make for some more crucial decisions on what armor to use before tackling different types of quests. In the base game, you basically choose between 2 things. Which armor do I like the look of the most, and which armor has the best armor rating. If there were more conditions to each of the sets in the game like this mod offers, then it would definitely add to the depth of each encounter. If you know a character you've been set out to kill wears a certain armor, you could plan your attack accordingly, and there's plenty of other conditions such as that which would just add a little bit of extra depth and flavour to a currently pretty basic armor system. Next up is a smaller and less gameplay oriented mod that changes something that most people would probably take for granted. In Skyrim's base game, there is one standout feature that lets you know almost instantly whether someone is just a generic bandit or a unique character, and that's simply their name. Real Names is a mod which aims to give every single NPC a real name that would fit both their race and occupation, no matter if they're a random bandit or even a hagraven. For me, getting immersed in a game isn't really about creating an open simulated world where everybody truly has their own lives and stories, it's just really about the illusion of it. We all know that no matter how many mods we add to our game, those characters don't actually exist, and as soon as you exit your game, they all get cast into the void until you next boot it up. But it's a game's job to essentially trick you into forgetting that just for a small amount of time in your day, and this mod really helps to sell that, even if it's functionally a really small change to the actual game. It's all well and good a bandit camp having schedules for NPCs to sleep, eat, go hunting and generally interact with the world, and that's immersive, right up until the moment you go to speak to them and their name is Bandit Marauder. Well, no more. Every single bandit has their own names alluding to their cultures and backstories. Every Draugr has an ancient name which unveils their ancient Nordic history, and every single dragon has a unique identity that actually lets you believe for a second that Alduin did resurrect them and they're not just spawned in because you fast travelled one too many times. This mod doesn't even stop there though. Every giant, hagraven, Dremora, Dragon Priest, and Corpse also is given a unique title too. And any of these can also be turned on or off in the mod menu depending on your preference. It's a small mod in practice, but Real Names is a fantastic addition to your game that should definitely be considered for the Elder Scrolls 6. Next up is a mod which is designed to give a bit more realism to sleeping in Skyrim. Now straight off the bat, sleeping is something that at least in the vanilla game is absolutely useless. I'm not sure if I would have even slept once in my first playthrough if the Dark Brotherhood didn't exist, so this one is more for those people using various survival mods such as I Need or just the Creation Club survival mode. Sands of Time Sleeping Encounters is a module stripped from a slightly larger mod which aims to bring some danger to sleeping in various places around Skyrim. Your player home remains mostly safe, with only at maximum a 10% chance of being woken up. However, napping in a dungeon will have a 75% chance, Draugr Caves at 75, Winterhold College at 15, Inns at 5, Jorvaska also at 5, and any other location that doesn't fit into the above categories is a 20% chance. Each of these wake-up encounters differ dependent on the location you sleep. So in the college you might get woken up by a jealous wizard, in an inn it might be a group of bandits sent to collect a bounty, a dungeon will have monsters, and so on. This mod is a nice little extra add-on to your awareness while you sleep, and makes you prepare a bit before trying to nap in the depth of a Draugr crypt by laying down traps or having your companions stand guard. As well as actually making a need for sleeping in the base game, this little extra feature would go a long way in the next Elder Scrolls in making the player think twice about where they choose to nap, and adds a little extra preparation for such encounters. The fourth mod in this video is another one of those really small in practice but really effective in execution mods that would really add some role-playing depth to your game. Skyrim Reputation is a mod I've used in many of my playthroughs in the past, and I will continue to use in the future because why wouldn't you? The basic explanation of this mod is that it keeps track of both the good and bad deeds you do, and makes the NPCs react to you accordingly dependent on if you have a good or bad reputation. With this mod installed, you will start off as a nobody with no reputation whatsoever. Then once you begin to complete quests and get to be more known around Skyrim, people will then start to recognise you for the reputation you hold. For example, if you are known around Skyrim as an honourable warrior, then the companions may let you join without the usual required tasks. Or alternatively, if you join the companions and your infamy rises, then they may kick you out. Barter prices may change dependent on your reputation, people might be suspect to your vampiric and werewolf blood, and people will generically address you differently dependent on your fame or infamy. This mod makes it into this list because it's definitely something that needs to be considered more in the next Elder Scrolls. Being recognised for your deeds around the game world just adds that little extra realism and role-playing ability to your game. And while in vanilla the gods may on occasion comment on your Thieves Guild leadership or being part of the Dark Brotherhood, having other generic NPCs around Skyrim noticing you for defeating Alduin the World Eater, saving their entire existence, would be at least a little nice touch to your game. Now, the final mod for this video implements a system which in my opinion brings the most amount of realism to your game, and would be a really cool feature to include in the next Elder Scrolls. Faction Economy is a mod which brings more depth and immersion to your sold items in Skyrim. When selling an item in the base game, the merchant may keep it in their inventory to buy back for a while, otherwise it's often the case that they just disappear for good after the 2-day refresh rate. With this mod, it gives a chance for the very items you sell to various vendors to be passed on to other factions in the game. Dependent on the merchant you sell your items to, they might sell them to various factions such as Bandits, the Volkihar clan, the Thalmor, or even ship them across seas to the Solstheim Reavers. This means that whenever you feel like trading in one of those overpowered enchanted weapons for a good bit of gold, there's a good chance that decision might backfire in the future. And to be clear, this mod doesn't duplicate the enchantment and just generate it onto a new sword in the bandit's inventory. It will be the exact item you sold in the first place. So if you had a favourite custom named sword that you had to sell in order to pay off a bounty, you might run into a bandit wielding the exact same weapon, which will allow for some more interesting and dynamic scenarios to emerge throughout a playthrough. And for some more specific storylines, bosses have a much higher chance of acquiring these items than a regular bandit, so you might one day come across a bandit leader dressed in the very armour you once crafted. This mod is a really nice immersive addition to the game, as it really does make you feel like your actions have an impact on the world. Including something like this into the next game would be a really nice realistic addition that would help to immerse you in the world, and would definitely be a feature in one of those top 10 things you didn't know about the Elder Scrolls 6 videos that are sure to come. But that's the final mod for this video. If you enjoyed, then a like would be appreciated. Leave a comment down below of what mods you think should be featured in another episode of this kind, and generally let me know your thoughts. New Samson episode coming soon, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios, bitches.